Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. Big Sky howdy, everybody. Welcome back again. Glad to see you all here. Happy to have you back again. You know, the last time we covered the the latest grifter attempt to make money off the Patterson-Gimlin film, and I think we did a pretty good job of proving that they're completely full of it, and that is not a suit. But since they gave us an elephant room in the room to deal with, I figured we'd give them an elephant in the room to deal with. And in fact, multiple elephants in the room. Let's assume by some spectacular miracle that these guys actually did manage to make a suit that even modern day special effects guys couldn't make, that's so convincing back in 1967 that they could pull off the greatest hoax of all time. Okay, let's concede and say maybe that did happen. Here's a question I got for you. How many suits did they make? Because guess what? Patty wasn't the only Bigfoot in the Patterson-Gimlin film. But not like you could expect some hoaxy documentary to actually do their research and check into everything in the background, because, if they'd find out about this, they might not want to release their piece of propaganda, which I might point out still has not been released, and everybody's really looking forward to seeing it so they can rip it apart like a pack of rabid dogs, basically, and all the rest of you trolls can go sniveling back into your caves and cry home to your mama. Meanwhile, here's a little message for Marqua from Patty. And we are back with the amazing Canadian superstar Blayne Tyler from Northeast Ontario, Canada. And I just got to see Blayne only a week ago back over in Nebraska. Contrary to certain reports on tabloid YouTube channels, I was actually there, and so was Blayne. And as you can see by the cool T-shirt Blayne's wearing, that's an inevitably finding Bigfoot T-shirt right there. And all the cast members had them, and we showed the movie, and we did a little Q&A afterwards, and it was a funky fun time had by all. So anyway, today we are here to talk about the Patterson-Gimlin film, and the other half of this show is with M.K. Davis, and he's talking about one that he found in the video, and Blayne has actually spotted 3 in the video. And now this is interesting because according to the original report from Roger and Bob, they were following tracks of a small group, not just one individual, and they figured there was about 7 of them. So if you count the new one that MK had picked out of the video, the 3 that Blayne got out of it, and Patty herself, well, that's 5 right there, and that accounts for almost all of them that they presumed to be in the area. So when Roger got this video, I don't think he had any idea what else he was getting on it. So with that, welcome back to the show, Blayne, and let's talk about these additional Bigfoot that you spotted with your super squatch vision.
Yeah, Superman vision. Hi, everybody. Nice to see everybody again. Thanks for tuning in. This goes back a long way. Obviously, footers study the Patterson footage, and but I noticed that when I studied it, I could see other Sasquatch in it, and sometimes they weren't very clear, old footage and stuff. But some of them are pretty obvious, and if you got trained eyes from running into them, like I have, they just pop right out of you in the videos. But it all starts off with there's like four clips, I think, when they string them all together of at least what's been released. Do you remember that? There's that clip with DeHenden and Green and another guy walking up down the road.
Yep. Looking at the tracks on the side of the road.
Yeah, looking at a real track and then fake tracks of the construction guy trying to trick people that they're just being hoaxed and get back to work and stuff, right? But yeah, I mean, they're finding tracks all along the road. It's kind of funny, little side stories that one of the rangers there said he didn't believe in Bigfoot or whatever, and they're Green and DeHenden were standing there looking at a beautiful 15-inch print right beside where the guy pulled in the truck over. There's trackways right there, and the ranger never noticed them, and then he took off. So, but anyway, but that there's some actually in that clip of them going up and down the road or on the right, but the footage is so old and distorted that if you're lucky, I hide it on my channel. You can see the classic Sasquatch shape, but they're sitting down. And so the smaller one's sitting in the trees, but that one's not good enough to worry about. But and then it goes to clips of Patterson and Bob Gimlin riding around on their horses, or one of them's riding around with a back horse, and then the other one, I guess they might be filming each other. One time he's riding away.
Part of the project there was to make a Bigfoot documentary, so they were just filming stock video. Here's the guys adventuring around riding their horses, and so that's how that stuff got in there.
Yeah, so he's showing himself, and he's burning through a lot of tape, filming himself. He had like 4 reels or 5 reels, and we don't know where the other ones are, but one in particular, and MK can have a look at this. When they get to that area that looks like a mudslide cleared at all the trees, they pan right, and there might be something in the far tree if I really want to dissect it. But when they pan left, there's a bit of a mound and some, I guess, some broken logs and stuff from the last slide. But there's one standing right there, looking at Roger or Bob, whoever's got the camera, probably Roger, filming. And he films it, and then you see it go up, and then it's really steep, the tree line, and then there's a bit of a break in the tree line, and then the far tree line after the break. But there's one standing right there, hunched down. You can see it's right hand, and it's frozen right behind the mound in that clip, and that's before they filmed Patty. It's pretty obvious. I just picture that. Extra clips to when they show up at Bluff Creek, the actual creek, and then obviously Patterson gets thrown from the horse from Patty being at the mound. We're just talking about this. There's either it's Patty, and the frame's been flipped, or there's another one on the side of that log jam. And if so, then that's actual first frame. If it's not Patty, then it's another one, because Patty takes off this way, and then that one's on the other side of the log jam, and it's only there for a second when Rogers turns his camera on and he's getting up. He's filming left. And I got that one on my channel, but that's not even the one. I mean, it's there, but I guess there's a chance that could be Patty, and it flipped or something. But then why wouldn't it be in all the documentaries about it? But anyway, getting back to the Patterson, the first obvious one that I pick out, yeah, there might be some in the scrub, but about at the 45-second mark, when Patty's just about to clear, when Roger's chasing it, there's 2 or 3 chase sequences. There's the initial one, he trips, and she gets further away, but he ends up starting to line up behind her as she's curving around. And there's one about the 45-second mark where she's just about to go by these trees, and there's another little log pile, and there's a big male standing right there. And I sent you a picture of that, and Patty's at the back, and this one's a lot closer to Roger, but he's zeroing in on Patty. And this male is like, he's at least 2 feet taller than Patty, and I don't know if he's fading in and out, but you have to freeze it right at the right second or two to catch the best contrast of his shape. But so what I did, I grabbed the shape, added some contrast, and said, okay, so here's a raw image cropped right from the footage. Now I inverted it, and bingo, big Sasquatch skull shape and white eye sockets and everything. It's not a tree, not a stump. It's another Sasquatch right there before Patty even makes it 3/4 of the way through her little walk. But then
oh, wait, now, before you go on, when I saw that white inverted version that Blayne made of this thing, the first thing that popped into my mind was a picture that we took up here where we had something actually bending the view on the camera. Like there was something bending the light around it, and you draw the outline around it, you get a shape that looks vaguely humanoid with an arm reaching out toward the person that's taking the picture. And even more disturbing, in the background over its shoulder, there's a head peeking out about 30 feet back behind this tree looking. And it's a dead ringer for that picture that you got.
Yeah,
I mean, same head shape, same big eye orbits, exactly the same.
The other thing was that actually, I don't know if it's the camera being moving, which it could be, but it changes position, but it could be the camera changing its angle, filming Patty, but it's on the right side of the camera in the viewfinder. And he's watching Roger. And I think Patty purposely circled around that big male because it's trying to flee from 2 humans with guns and horses. Right. And it purposely went around the big male for protection. But at that point, Patterson pretty much gave up the chase because Patty was outdistancing him. And then, but when he's filming her at the end of that sequence, the walk sequence, as she's getting close to the tree line, in there, that's when MK spotted, there's a gray one right at the, maybe slightly out from the tree line. But there's also, right before Patterson kills the camera, turns it off, there's a bigger female standing profile, looking left, and the camera is, I guess, filming from the right. But she's standing right there in front of those white bark, whatever kind of trees they are, and it's a perfect outline, profile outline of a female Sasquatch. She's got the rounded hips and the shoulders, but she's a lot bigger than Patty, and she's right there. But because she blends in, and no one's looking at the others, they're only watching Patty. They're missing out on the other Sasquatch that in the footage, which further supports a real Sasquatch because she's in the middle of her family.
If you want to see another female, there's one right there, just slightly right of the center in the tree line at the back before Patty exits through the woods. And I think I'm going to crop in on it here, see if you can spot her. Looks like she has an infant clinging to her, and she's got her head down, and she's standing motionless, but she's bigger than Patty. Maybe she's 8-ish or something, 8 feet-ish. But you can see the sagittal crest there on her head, and right there in front of that white birch bark tree or whatever it is, big black Sasquatch shape. So pretty awesome stuff. I cropped it. You see her right there? Can you pick her out? That's easy for me to see. I can stop the Patterson's footage and pick her out right in his footage. I don't really need a lot of editing.
And that's another thing. If it was a faked film, why would they make more fake Bigfoot and have them stand in the background and not move where no one will ever see them. So that don't make any sense. And from the standpoint of a Bigfoot researcher like me and Blayne, you never see one. If there's one there, there's more than one there. And so it makes more sense that you would find more stationary ones in the background, because that's the kind of thing we find on our video all the time. They don't usually move. If you're around or you got a camera on them, they're going to sit still. It's very rare they'll get up and move like Patty did. That's what makes that video really rare, because she actually moved. She was out in the open. They got her on video. But most of the time, and Blayne will tell you this, and I'll tell you this, and a bunch of other people will tell you this, they're not moving. They're sitting in the background watching you. And unless you're really sharp-eyed, you're going to film them and not even know they're there.
Yeah, and then you have to have a good eye to pick them out. Where
that's what I'm saying.
You got to notice when you're doing it, when you're filming and you're in real time. We discussed this. You got to know what looks out of place too. Like, a Sasquatch standing in the open but not moving, and you just think it's a shady area. But you got to say, well, wait a minute. It's full sun, no clouds. What's causing that big biped dark shape? It's not a tree, and so you gotta. It's them using their tricks to their stealth tricks to blend and everything. But I mean, when you got experience, you pick that up in real time. And like what I do a lot, I film over my shoulder and everything, hoping that they'll walk off or whatever. But normally they don't do it. There's no risk. But without getting too much into it, I think Patty behaved that way. And you can learn a lot from the Patterson Gimlin footage, especially if you're starting out as a footer, from that footage. What to look for, how they behave and everything. But the point I wanted to make was only females behave that way. The males will come at you if they feel you're a threat. The females will flee and go hide behind males, but then the males will come at you, especially if they got cover. They'll come right up to the edge of cover and try to shoo you out of the area. But Patty was pretty afraid, I think, because the construction crew was shooting wild shots into the woods when they were afraid. So she had a natural fear of what guns could do.
Well,
and
there's
she
the
didn't want
other
to
theory
wait
that the loggers had actually gotten a team of Canadian killers down there to eliminate the Sasquatch that were causing problems. And she had been one of them that had probably been shot by them, and that's why she had that big hematoma on her leg. Which, that's a whole can of worms we're not going to open up right now.
Yeah, I think it's just her experience around humans, good or bad, or probably mostly bad, that made her flee, maybe thinking there was more, maybe in the woods. So she knew that the safest way would be distance. But without getting into all that, that's a whole nother video.
Yeah.
But there's that big male, 45. The female, 45 was on the clip I seen, the extended clip of the one behind the mound, and then the Patty clip, 259 into the full clip. I don't know, it's probably not MK's, but a lot of the restored videos are all lifts from MK's work. So I always give MK credit, because probably all these people are stealing his work. So I just say it's him.
Yeah, because it probably is.
The timestamp, you got to go just from the raw footage, because everybody's got the trailers and the talkie part. Yeah. So you got to go. The timestamps will be different unless you just look at the raw footage and nothing else, and then start the clock there. But yeah, I mean, there's other Sasquatch in that footage. It's just you got to know how to spot them, and with Patty, she's easy, and everybody watches her. And like MK, he's fully dissected the Patterson footage and everything for years and years. But there's definitely more in that footage. It's just, I showed actually Dr. Bindenagel. So you want to see another one in the Patterson footage? He goes, I never thought to look for other ones. We're so busy concentrating on Patty that I never thought to look in the scrub or behind the tree and say, is that big black shape peeking out from the tree? Is that another one? Or what's causing that irregular shape on the right side of the tree? Like what I was speaking about, the big male. Yeah. And I showed him, said, oh, wow. And that was a new revelation to him, I guess, 10 years ago, or actually 12 years ago, that there would be other ones in the actual Patterson footage if you stopped looking at Patty for a second and dissected the other parts of the footage. So, yeah, he was actually quite encouraged by that when I started showing him. I said, look at this. That's not a tree. It's got shoulders. So anyway, yeah, it's got shoulders and it's 10 feet tall in the middle of an area that was washed out by flood.
I got to point this out. They do this stand still and pretend to be a tree trick so freaking commonly that I'm sure Blayne looks for it all the time. We were just talking earlier about a film clip that I filmed where I was just doing a pan, and there's one standing in the background that looks like it's a tree until you zoom in on it, and Blayne did a great job, zoomed in on it, lightened it up and everything. You can see it's a Bigfoot standing profile with his left shoulder toward me, looking at me like that. It's really obvious. But if you're not paying any attention, it just looks like, well, there's a black tree back there, and you keep going.
Yeah, that's true. And we were saying earlier, though, maybe, myself, I think I might have put one video out, but you got to start maybe just warning people that, they will hit you with infrasound and zap and all that, and that can cause damage to people. And you got all these people running around these new crop, or I don't want to call them noobs, but they might not throw something at you, but most of the damage that they could do if they wanted to is through zapping. Yeah. And we both know of people that have been hurt or fatal and stuff from too much of it. So don't be so desperate that, like the guy who got the rock in the head because he thought he could film one, and instead of filming one behind the bush, they threw a rock and knocked him out while he was filming. You see that clip? And then the camera fell down. It was still kind of filming him a little bit. But don't be too aggressive with going after them.
Or you get a rock up the side of the head, yeah. And don't be derogatory in calling those. Don't call those beginners noobs. That's very derogatory. There are words for that, like rookie and greenhorn.
I call it the nuke prop. The kids on the block or whatever.
Rookies.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, where they're just charging around with cameras. And you got to watch. You even got to watch your footing.
Oh, yeah.
Up here, it rains a lot, and the Canadian Shield, there's rocks and broken branches and stuff, snags everywhere, you go out to film Bigfoot and you come back with a ripped up knee and you're laying in a hospital bed for the whole summer.
Yeah, right? Or trying to chase one to the camera, get in on camera, you step into a hole and break your leg. Now you're stuck out there. So, and they're mad at you because you were just trying to film them. Uh-oh.
Yeah, now you're food.
Yeah. Now you're
whatever.
Bigfoot butt wipe for the next time they have a bowel movement. They need toilet paper. No fluffy bunnies nearby.
But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because, there is dangers to, even if they don't do anything aggressive at you physically, they'll hit you with the infrasound, and that can do a lot of damage, especially if there's more than one doing it. If you happen to stumble into a group like I've done a bunch of times, and it's not just one doing it; they'll all do it to you. So you got the multiplication factor of that too. But there's other Sasquatch in the PGF.
So what do we got now? We got one. That first one where there's the huge landslide in the open area, and he's panning, and he gets that one. We don't know how far in advance of the main clip that was filmed, so it could have been minutes, hours, days. We don't know. But when you get up closer, then the second and the third one, they're both basically in the clip with Patty. So we know that was part of the group. And if I didn't mention it already, MK was talking to me about it the other day, that Roger and Bob both knew that there was a group of at least 7 of them. That's what they were falling into that area. So this, again, makes sense because they not only got Patty on video, but between what Blayne pulled out and what MK pulled out, we got 4 more individuals. So that's 5 of the presumed to be 7 in that group that were traveling there, which makes a lot more sense because, as actual field researchers like me and Blayne are, you never just see one alone. If you do, you're in real trouble, and it's time to get the hell out of there. That's a rogue that got kicked out of the group.
A rogue, but I actually think, not that I can prove with Harvard Evans because they blend so well. I think there's a lot more than 7 in that back tree line.
Yeah,
it's just because they're black and gray and they're hiding with dark colors and shading and stuff like that. They're all watching the show unfold of Patty escaping from Roger. But if you want to go and like nitpick all through all the pictures, what could be, you can make a career out of it, I guess.
Yeah, practically. Well, and the other part of the problem is too, don't forget, the video's over 50 years old. And it was good for what it was, but it wasn't spectacular. And even the processing on the video, they got the color on it wrong. I mean, it looks like, Fall on Mars or something. So that makes it even more difficult to pick out things.
Colorize it for? They made it look kind of fake with all the extra bright oranges and reds. And
yeah,
I mean, yeah, sure, it's fall, but I mean, they should have just left it the natural way and then let science do its job.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, even with the film development on the original, they didn't do that good of a job. The colors were off. And then subsequent attempts at upgrading and everything like that have made it even worse. And copies of copies of copies of copies. So you lose all the detail. In order to pull anything out of the background on this thing at this point, really, you need the original copy. Or at worst, a copy of the original copy. So you've really got all that definition in there to work with. And nowadays with the computer, if you've got that data set of that original definition, you can do a hell of a lot with a computer that you couldn't do even 10 years ago. So there is hope that in the future, we actually may be able to get even better images and pull even more Bigfoot out of this damn clip that Roger shot over 50 years ago.
Yeah, well, there's definitely more in that tree line. I can see them, but they're blending in, and there's stuff between. There's a tree between one, or they're using their tricks. But I can see them in there. Yeah. I mean, but
Well, weren't you saying that the one that MK pointed out? If you look up above that and to the left, it looks to you like there's another one there, even further back.
Yeah,
really big.
Yeah, mentioned the MK. Yeah, okay. There's your gray one. It's about 5 foot, but look to its left and look way up. And I mean, maybe it's just a shadowing on the bark, but it looks like there's a really big one kind of bent slightly over like this with one leg, or I guess, I don't know, like one leg going towards the gray one and then one's back a bit. But his body is curved this way and going across a lighter tree. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's just that weird bark thing, where the bark, I don't know, the bark rot or just whatever. But I'm like, wow, that better not be what it is. If that is, boy, that's a really big boy right there. And Roger filmed the first giant. But anyway, I'll have a closer look at that myself. I just kind of noticed that when I was studying MK's one that he highlighted out, that this could be a gray one. It looks like a gray one. It's caught out in the light. So its gray hair is actually a lot lighter and it's almost semi-translucent. But you can actually, as I said before, you can actually see them better when they're in the shade, because then you get that black outline of one. Yeah. But when they're out in the sun and their hollow hair and stuff like that, that refracts the light.
They stand next to an object, they start taking on the color of the object in the area that's right next to them, and that breaks up their silhouette. And I agree with Blayne. The easiest ones to spot are the ones that are like trying to sit underneath a tree and pretend they're a shadow. And then you look at the shadow and you go, that shadow is twice as dark as every other shadow in my field of view. It's shaped like a Bigfoot, and there's nothing there to make that damn shadow. That's not a shadow.
Yeah. But yeah, because they go in the shade, and then you get that beautiful black outline of them, the classic dark black Sasquatch. But when they're in the sun, they go all light gray and they blend in with the grass, the scrub, everything. But there's definitely more than like there's the ones that were caught in the open with Patty. And then you start taking a closer look at that tree line in the back, like that big female, like maybe 9-foot female right at the very end that Patty crosses in front of while she's escaping. She's just standing there like this profile, but she's standing, what the key point is, she's standing in front of 2 or 3 trees and lighter terrain, but the trees have light colored bark. And I don't know if that's a colorization of the processing or not, but I'm like, damn, there's one right there that's even bigger than Patty. How come no one noticed her before? But you got to have trained eyes. I've seen them in daylight. I've caught females. Actually, in the last time MK was on, I mentioned this to them regarding the Patty, but I've caught females in the open, and they always closest tree line that they bolt to. They have never cross the sand like that, never into the open. and they usually tree line and also in behind males. And then the males come at you as a defensive reaction behavior. But yeah, that one's so special.
Go ahead.
No, the Patterson's film's so special because of her behavior. I mean, yeah. It's the first video of a Sasquatch, but because she was so fearful of men with guns, she didn't trust the tree line that was closest to her. She took off to the furthest point to put some distance between them and maybe other hunters that might be in the tree line, because of all their bad experiences with the road construction crew just probably shooting off rounds whenever they were scared. So, I think that because she was our bad experiences, that's why we have the Patterson footage. Otherwise, we would have just had 3 seconds of her getting up, whatever Roger caught, and going to the closest tree line on the other side of that fallen root system.
I want to switch to the Freeman film as backing up to what you were saying there, because first of all, MK is doing a really heavy-duty breakdown on that now, and everybody's going to be happy and surprised with additional Bigfoot that he found in there. But I was just talking to him about that one today, and I said, well, that's a female. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah, she's already been named. That's Paula. Well, how do you guys know that? Well, she does that little pause there in front of that big pine tree. That's because there was a baby in that pine tree that jumped up on her before she continued walking. Oh. And this guy right here is the one that pointed that out quite a long time ago. Now, MK has found the second one after she stopped and Paul repositioned himself and lost track of where she was and then started filming her again. There's a littler one that's over there with her. And when he was talking about that, he said, it looked to me like there's a baby on her. And I said, yeah, that's the one that jumped out of the tree onto her when she walked past it. That's what she paused for a second. And I said, another reason that that's a female is because it's got 2 babies with it. And the third reason it's a female is because if you guys watch the video leading up to that segment, Paul is walking up the hill filming tracks. And he's talking to himself. Well, I hear some popping and snapping over there and stuff. And then he comes up over the top of the hill. Oh, there he goes. Whatever was on top of that hill heard him coming. And as soon as he came over the top of the hill, Paula went, oh, crap, I got to get out of here. I got to get the kids. I got to get out of here. And she started making that move. If that had been a male, he would have just charged him right on the spot. There wouldn't have been any walking away. He would have bluff charged his ass immediately.
He used the tree line to come right out, like not directly, but he probably would have circled in around that tree line to get right up close to
the right side of the frame as Freeman was facing him. He would have come in through that tree line and just bluff charged him and scared the shit out of him.
And also, Freeman said, "Oh, there's 2 of them."
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know if he's referring to the little one that climbs her leg when she pauses going through she goes through that cedar tree or whatever. She actually pushes branches, heavy, thick branches, thick of your arm or side, like they're nothing. But I think he was looking at one that was a bigger one, not a little one, to its left that was just standing there like this. And then she freezes and he loses them both. Because where'd they go? They're still right there.
They haven't moved.
Right there on the left, waiting for him to look away. And as soon as he pans right, they're gone. Yep. They went out the left and stuff like that. But again, he didn't just find one. He filmed one moving, but she's in the middle of her family unit. And if you look closer, if you have trained eyes, then you say, that's one right there.
Yep.
Trees don't have shoulders with legs. Right? No. So it's just a matter of, maybe working together. You got these experts with breakdowns, and then you got the guys in the field that are running into them all the time. And the real field researchers, not the entertainers who just can only find the TV cameras. But
oh, you mean most of those old timers,
the real
Pac
field
West,
researchers, not the entertainers.
Those old Pac West guys that were running around the woods in the Pac West for 30 years, and the only thing they could ever find was a TV camera pointed at them. Yeah, those guys.
Well, that's because they called them and said, I'm going to be out on this road looking for Bigfoot. Or whatever they did. They called the radio stations or the TV station and then made it seem like the radio station was so into research or putting Bigfoot on that they went out to meet them. They tipped them off that they were going to be there and invited them out, and then made it seem like the TV station was doing it on its own, but that's why they're getting on TV all the time, because they were calling the news stations to come and film them looking for Bigfoot and stuff, and then, oh wow, hey, there's a TV camera. Duh, you would have called it 2 hours ago.
What has all that got to do with Paul Freeman? Those are the same people that took a dump on Paul as soon as he came out with his video and said it was fake.
All those entertainers, and the same as the guys back in the day that weren't in Roger's little group, they all attacked the Patterson footage. But everyone attacked the Freeman footage, and they especially were jealous when he was on Good Morning America. Wow, he's getting fame too. So then he started getting hate calls at home, and his kids started getting threatening. I mean, how about the fact that he filmed an unknown primate and lay off him? He's not like running around the woods or anything. His job was to be in the woods to keep the waterways clear, or to keep an eye on the water system or something like that. Making sure it wasn't being dangerous.
A great big reservoir there that they supply all the local water, and it's all fenced off. You can't get in there because they don't want people to poison it, all that kind of stuff. But, Paul was out there like every morning when he'd get off work, like right around sunup, he'd go out to the same area and look for tracks and stuff. So it wasn't like he wasn't out there all the damn time. He was out there all the damn time, which is why he got lucky enough to actually get something on camera. And the only person that backed him up when he came out with this story, credit where it's due, Jeff Meldrum. Meldrum was curious, drove over, checked it out, and Paul had an area where there was like an open clearing, and tracks had gone down the clearing to the bottom of it and then back up again, kind of made a loop. And those were just from that day. So he showed those to Jeff and went, I just found these today. And Jeff went, well, they're kind of going a circle. This looks like somebody would lay them out or something. So he left. But then he didn't tell Paul, and he came back. Without telling Paul, he came back. And he went back to the same spot, and he found out that those tracks came in from over that ridge through the woods. And he followed that trail that apparently Paul hadn't even noticed for quite a ways out into the woods, and it was getting dark, and he was out there by himself, and he didn't tell anybody he was out there. And then finally it kind of clicked and went, this might be dangerous. And he turned around and went back to his vehicle. But he was the only one that had the intellectual honesty to actually go take a look at the damn evidence and see what was going on there. And the rest of them, all they did was take a dump on Paul.
Yeah, it's because they're in it for the wrong reasons, right? They're in it for the fame and any appearance money and stuff like that, right? So, and then those guys are the ones that show up. Well, I'll show up when there's a sighting, and then I'll go investigate. How about you go find one on your own, like Freeman did and Patterson did, and like how I do it, and
like you do,
other
and like I do, and like Joyce does, and like Swan Lake Bigfoot does, and like Kreider does, and like it's not impossible.
Find them on your own, and then you'll get your own footage, right? But yeah, that's the way it went. But slowly the tides turned. Everyone, I think, like 70% people in North America or whatever the ratio is, it's above 50 now, believe the Sasquatch beings are real, and they've actually turned the tide finally from all the bad coverage from
Well, what I heard, the number is about split right now, and it's not believe it's real, it's believe it could be real. The number that believe that Bigfoot actually is real is still fairly substantial. It's larger than the number that believe that Hillary Clinton tells the truth ever, but it's not gigantic.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so Paul, they're good. And one of Paul's quotes, he says, you go fishing more often, you catch more fish. You go Bigfooting more often, you get more evidence.
Exactly.
And that's the hard fact.
Yep. And those are the successful guys, the guys that are they just like going out there, whether they get anything or not. They just like going out there. Rather than go to the bar and have some drinks, we're going to go sit in the rented car in the parking lot in the dark and stare at a swamp for 2 hours. Maybe something will show up.
Yeah. I'll show up. Yeah. Knock on your door. Scare y'all.
I'm sorry we didn't ask you if you wanted to sit out in the parking lot in the dark car.
Oh, no, I was eyeballing that before you guys got there. I was eyeballing up that area myself.
The only reason we looked at it is because Christy was down there the night before when it was kind of drizzling, and she had other people in the hotel there with her. They're all out back having a cigarette. And she's on the phone with me, and she goes, hey, I wonder if there's anything out there. Whoop. And she hears this, ooh. And she goes, did you guys hear that? And one of them goes, yeah. And she goes, there's something out there. And she turns on her night vision thing on her camera, It takes a picture, and there's this little glowing dot. Is it an orb? Is it eye shine? I don't know. But I saw it, and I was like, okay. And then I told Kreider, and he's like, yeah, we should go stake it out, man. Let's go sit there for a couple hours.
Yeah, no, I had a good suspicion that there was something going on in there, but you know, you could run into a homeless camp of what do those guys do now? What's the drug of choice now with all the street people? I don't know, but you could walk into something like that too, right? I'm a tourist there, right? I didn't know where that might be.
Zombies, they'll eat your face.
Yeah,
that's Florida.
That can happen.
Florida, where the bath salt zombies are. Yeah, you got to stay out of Florida.
So it's just tornadoes there then.
Yeah, no, not
just tornadoes.
No, Florida gets hit by hurricanes and bath salt zombies. The Midwest and all the Great Plains states, they have the tornadoes and the meth zombies.
Right. Well, don't forget, fear the corn.
Fear the corn. Yeah, we'll show you that picture. Here it is. He means it.
I have a shirt. I bought a T-shirt to wear for you for that one, but I put this one on tonight.
So I'm saying
fear the corn.
We'll show it to him. I got the picture. When you say fear the corn, I'll just flash that on the screen so they know what you're talking about.
Yeah. fear what's in the corn.
Yep.
Maybe.
Well, anyway, I think that kind of concludes this segment with Blayne. But just to, again, reiterate, if you see a Bigfoot, chances are very good there's more than one there. And the rest of them just are not moving, and that's why you're not noticing them. But if you're moving that camera around filming, you can always go back later on and see if you can pick them out. Even 50 years later, or 40 years later, like when Blayne pulled those other three out, I think it was about 10 years ago that MK found that other one too. So, there's no time limit on that. You get some decent video of them and stuff. You can go back and look at it over and over and over and over and over. And as the quality of the techniques and the software that we have available to us continues to improve, more and more you can do with that old crappy video to enhance it and actually make it so you can see it. Because look at where the Patterson-Gimlin filmed. You saw it at the beginning of the show. And look at where it's at right now, where it's all beautiful and stabilized, and you can see it nice and pretty. Well, 50 years from now, God knows it. It might be 3D for all we know. And we're getting word that MK Davis is on his way to the studio. Here's some video that he sent up, a recent flight where he was using the brand new composite high explosive uranium depleted ammunition to take out some Skeptard speedboats. Ooh, how embarrassing. And this is a deployment of the new ordnance, the bullshit-seeking missile. Rumor has it this is the same ordnance that was used to take out Khomeini right at the beginning of the Iran conflict. Oh, that's gotta hide. And so, MK is on his way into the studio. Don't worry, no Bigfoot were harmed. That's just a suit. A guy in a suit. And we're back once again with the amazing, spine-chilling, analytical, and inimitable analyst of analysts, MK Davis. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Good to be back, dude.
Not only a pleasure, but an honor to have you here. And tonight we're talking about one of your specialties, the Patterson-Gimlin film, which people have been analyzing for 50 years, some not very well and others spectacularly well. And after all that time, with some trained eyes on it, people have found some very interesting things. And MK is here to show you one of them. To wit, there is, yes, Virginia, there is more than one Bigfoot in the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Okay. Now let me stop it. I'm not sure exactly. There it is, right there. Watch it now. Okay, I'm going to advance it. Here's the first place you see it, right here on this frame right here. Okay, you see it right there. And then I'm going to go to the next frame, and you'll see the hand motion of the camera move that frame. So this camera is in the process of panning. See? But the source of the light remains on that particular spot on the hill, even though the image has shifted slightly. And it's grown, and the flare comes down. See the flare? It's creeping between the elements of the lens of the camera. So that's an intense enough light that it begins on one frame, ends on another frame. There you go, right there. And I'm going to just kind of zoom in on it some more. It'll probably fuzz out a little bit, but you can still see it. All right, here we go. It's not there. There's where it begins. There's where it intensifies. You see the little lens flare? Looks like a little flame coming down. Okay, and then it's gone. Okay. Now that is an anomaly. It's on more than one frame of the film, and it remains on the position on the hillside in spite of the fact that the cameraman is panning. So it almost certainly is there in the event. Now, other people say, well, I have copies of the film, and it's not on that copy of the film. Well, I suspect, we don't know the chain of custody of this film. If it's not on the copy of the film that you looked at, then it should be, because it's on this one. It's just as correct to suspect the one it's not on as being something done to it as it is to suspect the one that it is on. An analyst will not choose between the two. An analyst says, I see this on this copy of the film that I have. And I see, let me go back to it and find it again. I see it on more than one frame, and it grows in size, and it keeps its position on the hillside in spite of the fact the camera person is panning the camera. It is the mathematical odds of that occurring by accident are not calculable. Okay, so if you have a copy that's not on there, you need to question why it's not on there. That's all I have to say about that. Now, keeping in mind, I'm not through with this setting yet, because now that we've discussed this flare, which is an anomaly in the film, we're going to discuss something that occurs right after the flare, immediately. So let me get set up for that. Okay, we're back. Now I've got a little same setting here, and it's cropped and it's enlarged, and you'll see that it begins with that same anomalous light burst, starting right here. I'll move to the next one. There it is, growing. See the lens flare right here below it. Okay, and then you continue on, and you begin to see Patty emerge from behind this tree right here. Watch her. See, a little further, a little further. There's an arrow pointing to her. But I also have arrows pointing right here, because not just a second or so after this flash of light, there's movement right here. And I rock this movement back and forth so that you can see that it's fore and aft movement behind a set of limbs, but you can see movement behind the limbs. Okay, and immediately after this, the camera person swings wildly away. So that's all you get of this particular setting. Let me just run the file. Here we go. All right, now you see the movement right here, right along in here, and the general shape right here. You see something swing this way right here. Let me see if I can zoom in on it a little bit. I first featured this on Bigfoot Internet Radio Show, artistfirst.com, Bigfoot Central. And not yesterday, not day before yesterday, but several years ago. One of the reasons why I didn't put this out on YouTube or make it public is because it's controversial, and I didn't need a lot of controversy at that time. The reason why it's controversial, it should not be controversial. It's on the film, but people make it controversial, and a lot of times people get very nasty, especially if it's something that they don't particularly believe, and it challenges something that they don't believe or they do believe about the film. But I didn't put it on there, so it matters little to me. I don't really concern myself with how this film comes out. I'm not trying to make this film be something it's not, or make it not be something it should be. This is on the film. You see the flash of light. You see this figure right here behind these bushes begin to break out, seemingly as a result of this flash of light. Now, this flash of light is occurring at normal speed. Watch how quickly this flash of light is fixing to start again. Watch it. Boom. You see how quickly that burst of light came up? But it's in 2 frames. And there, right here, is Patty. Over on the left side. Watch the figure with the 2 arrows behind these bushes right here. You got one Sasquatch, alleged Sasquatch right here. See that figure? Very similar looking figure right here, erupting from behind this bush, coming left to right immediately after this flash, this burst of light. And that's just simply the setting in the film. That is what you see in the film, in this copy of the film. Now, if this flash of light does not exist on another copy, I can't help that. If this were on only 1 frame, I would probably agree that this is probably a flake of film, emulsion that's flaked off the film. But the odds of the same flake flaking off in 2 different frames at the same spot on the hill are too great. And when Kodak was asked about this, they agreed that it was a lens flare. It was a bright source of light that entered the camera lens. Because in order to make a flare, it has to creep between the elements of the lens, and it has to be intense to do that. But you got a silent film. So there's nothing else there but that visual, that one quick visual. So, thought you might be interested in the strange anomalies that are in the Patterson film. And there are more, but that's all I'm going to discuss right now. Now, is this a second Sasquatch in this film? I would say that since this is the first Sasquatch, and this looks like this, it's probably a second Sasquatch. Especially since the testimonial of the 2 men stated that they were in pursuit of several Sasquatches, that the tracks had been seen for several different Sasquatches, different size tracks. So, it just makes sense now. I thank you for your time.
Now, there's some pretty convincing evidence from my eye. I watched this video a couple times, and then I talked to MK about it, and I'm pretty much 100% sold on that is an additional Bigfoot, and especially because I've been out in the field filming them for a long time, and that's the kind of stuff they do and how they look. So it makes sense to me. And how did you notice that the first time?
Well, I continued down down the film in chronologically speaking, one frame at a time. And of course, you got that the famous look back segment, and then after that, she's kind of walking away. And very briefly, she walks straight away from the camera, and the camera reaches a point where it's stable, and you can see her back squarely to the camera, and then up on the hillside, there's a flash of light, and when I looked at the flash of light, I saw movement, and I got to those frames and clicked back and forth, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, looking for movement. And I found that movement, and it was kind of behind some bushes a little bit, but you could see the outline of it, and it was very obvious that it was in the shape of a Sasquatch, similar to Patty, but further away. And it was making a move to go down the hill. Patty's going like this, and this thing is going like this. Eventually, they would have converged.
Right.
But there again, you got the camera operator who is desperately trying to keep Patty in view, and she's constantly changing her angles, getting those trees and stuff between her and the camera. The cameraman would have to run over here, steady it again. It was quite a feat, actually, to get her.
Oh my God!
As often as he did. He got her. I call it three segments or walk sequences.
Right.
Where in the final one she's walking in the distance.
You just pointed out something really spectacular because of Patty's evasiveness and natural tendency, like they all have, to try and put an object between them and you so you can't see where they're going, causes Roger to reposition. And because he repositioned, he caught the other Bigfoot.
Yeah, right. He probably, if he had stayed where he was, he could not have gotten an angle on it.
So, haha, Patty, you blew it on that one.
he kept adjusting as she would make her way. She made her way at an angle.
Right.
And when I first kind of got interested in the Patterson film, different people would tell me, they would say, well, she's only 1.8 millimeters high on that frame. I said, at what point in the film? Because she starts out taking up the whole frame, and she ends up just being this high in the frame.
Yeah, because she's walking away from the camera.
She's walking away at an angle. And no one would even answer me. They had gotten so used to, using that little expression. You can't possibly get anything out of this film because Patty's only 1.8 millimeters. I said, where? When? When was she? At the beginning? At the end? Even at the end, that film still yielded lots of data, even when she was tiny.
Yep.
You can't do that if it were a hoax film. You're going to get only what you engineer into it.
Correct.
And if you start to get 1,000 different things in a short clip, minute-long clip, that tells you right there it's nothing engineered. It is a live event, and things were happening all around.
I got something for the skeptics to chew on in relation to this, too, who like to think it was some guy in a Bigfoot suit. If it was a guy in a Bigfoot suit, what did they have extras on set also in Bigfoot suits hiding in the background so somebody could find them 50 years later? Really?
Good question. I don't know how come Roger Patterson had to send off for a suit? Philip Morris said that he sold Roger Patterson a suit. He's in the Carolinas. Roger Patterson's in Washington State.
Yeah,
That Washington State don't have any Bigfoot suits.
you would think. Well, back in those days, they didn't even make them. All the ones they were making for movies and stuff were made out of like horsehair sewed onto whatever underlayment they were using.
Yeah, you're right. That they weren't available.
No, you would have to hand make one, and that's why everybody was trying to blame the creator of Planet of the Apes and say, "Well, you're the guy that made the suit for him." And he never said no because it added so much to his prestige, thinking that he could make a suit like that. And finally he kind of waved it off toward the end and went, "Yeah, I wasn't that good." But if you look at the Planet of the Apes,
a lot of work. But
yeah, Planet of the Apes was made the same year, and the best they could do was those facial overlays they glued onto the actors' faces, and then they had hands and forearm pieces and stuff that but the rest of them had clothes on, so they didn't have any full body suits that they were using anything, and that was the top thing that Hollywood could do at that point.
No, it's you see muscles and stuff moving and everything that you see in your daily life, your biomechanics.
Yeah.
That should do. You trust your eyes when you cross the street, and they tell you when to go. And you trust your eyes if you saw that. That's one thing I was wanting to examine about the film is that was it good enough to show biomechanics, things that you could put some reliance on once you saw them.
Clear enough to see the muscle groups moving, and you proved that over and over.
Yeah. So that once you see that, I mean that was it for me. I mean, the next question was the nature of it. What exactly was the nature of the Sasquatch? I no longer didn't believe it. Or believed it was a hoax, or believed it could be a hoax. I had faith in it after that, but I didn't. You go down a long list of subsequent questions that you're going to ask. You have to if you're any kind of curiosity.
Well, not only that, in a situation like this where you've got a goodly length of reasonable film of a Bigfoot out in the open moving, you can spend, years, decades analyzing it, seeing how it's moving, seeing how tall it is, looking at the muscle structure, looking at anomalies on its leg, like, it's got a bulge on its leg, maybe it caught a bullet or something, or it stabbed it into a tree trunk or something. It's got a big hematoma on its leg, and other stuff that you brought up. And all of this just lends to the credibility of the film, because all of these little weird anomalies wouldn't have been in there if it had been a Bigfoot suit.
Oh, absolutely not. You would have had exactly what came with the suit.
Yep, nothing like that.
You wouldn't have been able to see no muscles under there doing
right.
it.
Yeah, and now back in those days, they didn't have latex. They couldn't make anything that was skin tight that they could even glue to your skin that would make it look like there was big muscle groups moving. It was absolutely impossible to make. So to all you kids that don't understand what was around then, flat out fact, they couldn't have made a suit that looks like that. Anybody that tells you that they could is an idiot or a liar.
I'll tell you who will tell you that they could. And that's a special effects artist. They're hogs for that.
Yeah, John Chambers, who was the only one around that was capable of doing that at the time, actually signed up and said, "No, I didn't really make that."
You could just go and pick out your special effects guy.
Yeah, nowadays you could get, if you had enough money, you could do it. And
I'm talking about that. They're all going to claim that they could.
Yeah, that's because they're all liars and egomaniacs. Yeah, they're liars and egomaniacs.
TV people will claim a lot of stuff.
And they're liars and egomaniacs too. And here's more additional feed in for what I'm saying. Back in the day, they took that Patterson Gimlin film and they gave it to the heart of special effects, which was Disney, and said, "Can you make a video that looks like this?" And remembering, this was right around 1970 when money was worth a hell of a lot more than it is now. And they said, "We're not even sure we could make something that looks like that, but it would cost a couple $1 million at least." So there's the real input from the real experts at the time it really happened. And again, all you hogwash merchants from the modern day are full of it, and you can just shut up.
Well, enjoy it because we're entering the age of AI, and things are skepticism is gonna go wild for for everything.
You know what the nice thing about the AI is, though, is facial recognition. So when you got a Bigfoot in the picture, the AI can find it for you if they're looking at you.
Well, yeah, AI is not all bad. That's what I'm saying. It's they actually have a program an app you can load onto your phone that will tell you if a photo has been done with AI.
Yep, exactly. And so busted.
It'll pick it out.
AI busts itself. Thank you, AI, for busting yourself.
AI chasing AI.
Yeah. Well, at least it's being neutral about it. Sure, I'll make you a fake picture. Sure, I'll tell you it's a fake picture. There you go. Now you're both happy. All right. Well, so how many frames exactly did he have that subject in to where you could see him?
Only just 2 or 3 good frames, and then he moves the camera and it blurs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky to have even spotted it with just so few frames. But like I said, I was clicking from one to the other, back and forth. I didn't just click forward. I went back and forth, and it makes things oscillate like this.
Right.
And that's how I was able to see it.
You can watch that motion over and over again.
Yeah,
it's really handy, actually.
It makes sense too, because the original report was that there were 7 individuals in a group, and they had found the tracks of the 7. I think that some of them, when they gave pursuit to them, 2 of them split off and went down the hill toward the creek bottom, and some more went another way, and some more went another way. It's like you would do if you didn't want anybody to catch up with all of you at one time. You split up.
Split up. Yeah. That's a typical tactic for them. The other thing is they might have been heading toward where the enforcers are too, and trying to lead the dumb cowboys into a get mugged situation.
You can see that's a bowl right there.
Yeah. Tactical high ground all around it, and they've got it
all around that thing.
So, yeah, I think that was a good call when the horse ran away, and Roger went, let's get the horse back and worry about that right now, because I don't want to die. There's probably other Bigfoot around here. Yeah, he was right, there are.
When you see something live as opposed to the film, in 2 dimensions, it's hard to get that perception of size and bulk. And when you see something stereoscopically with your eyes, you can see that this thing is really huge. And you're looking at something that is immensely heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you already said she's also immensely wide.
Yeah, she's. It's not just the width.
It's thick through the chest.
I found a set of tracks on the same sandbar that I could not make a dent in. This was in October. Hadn't rained in a while. And that individual had 4-inch deep tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew instantly right then that this was something superior. And it wasn't that long a foot. It was not much longer than mine.
Well, I've long supposed, since we found tons of tracks, and I found like 15-inch tracks embedded 2 or 3 inches deep in the ground.
And depending on the ground, that can be.
Yeah, it was in the sand. I stood right next to it. I got it on video. I didn't even make an impression. Then there was a 22-inch one that was near that, and he just gouged out the whole embankment, stepping up on it to get out of the river again.
If you do the calculations, then you'll come out with a more dense person than a human being. And
I've got a converter chart that I've been using, and it's based on 1 cc of human weight, and then scaled up for the height and bulk of a Sasquatch. And even if you're assuming that they weigh the same per cubic centimeter that we do, they're still ridiculously heavy, way bigger than you would think.
Well, they're going to outweigh us I mean, even if they're the exact size, they will outweigh you.
Yeah.
And their muscles are so dense in their fiber that they can take off up a straight 45-degree slope and never check up, never even slow down.
Yeah. They're like pretty much all muscle. You hardly ever see any reports of, oh, it was a fat Sasquatch.
And they have pretty much a system designed to nourish that type of fiber.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the blood is like really, really rich. If you ever had anybody describe Sasquatch blood, you know, there were times when they were able to see one that had bled. It's really, really red.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really red and really, really kind of thick.
Mm-hmm.
It carries oxygen to a tremendous degree. And the heart's lungs, big barrel, wide girth. They live in those mountains like I live near the Delta.
Mm-hmm.
They don't strain.
Nope.
And so if one takes off up a hill, don't think he's going to slow down for you.
Nope. You can't catch them on flat ground at sea level anyway, so you're sure as hell not going to catch them up in the mountains. Both my research areas are over a mile up, so you're not like exactly wind sprinting up there trying to catch anything, running up a 45-degree hillside covered with trees and boulders.
I figured out using that method that the film was shot at 16 frames per second. And Igor Bortsev and the other Russian colleagues of his figured it out back in the 60s, about 1970 actually.
Yeah.
That they used Roger Patterson's footsteps. They saw the bouncing of the film, and they did calculations and came out with 16 frames per second. So two different ways both came out at the same figure.
You got to give the Russians points for cleverness. They always got that. They'll figure out some way to figure it out.
They're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
And they do a real honest evaluation too. They don't care which way it goes. They use the scientific method. You know?
Right. And they came out 100% convinced it was real. So what's your, before we wrap it up here, what are your thoughts on the other additional ones that my favorite field researcher in Canada, Blayne Tyler, found in his little clip?
Well, I looked at one of them that I could see quite easily. And, you know, of course, it's a still picture, but it has the shape of a Sasquatch. And given the setting and given the situation, there's no way I'm going to say that he didn't find another Sasquatch in him, because it might very well be.
Yep. Well, he's got two of them in that main body of the video. The other one that he found was in the leading up to, or assuming that they put everything in chronological order, which who knows, where they're shooting stock video and he films up that hillside and films back down again, and then they ride off. Well, there's one standing in that tree line watching them film. They don't even notice him. That was the first one Blayne caught. He's like, hey, there's a Bigfoot right there.
Well, I mean, it's Bigfoot country, and there was a Bigfoot event happening right there in front of them.
Yep.
And there were more than one Bigfoot involved in the original report. So, I mean, yeah. I wouldn't say for a minute that wasn't.
Well, here's the thing. If this was just a staged thing, you would definitely not expect there to be any hidden Bigfoot in the background, like Where's Waldo, waiting for you to find him years later. This just lends more and more credibility to the fact this absolutely was not staged, and it was real, because there's additional damn Bigfoot in that video.
Yeah, you know, and there's another spot. I don't know if I've discussed this with you. She walks by a stump, and there's a black edge to the stump shows on the left and the right at different times. When she clears and goes by it, it's like they're having a hard time staying behind the stump.
Right. And
you see a little bit of the shoulder, a little bit of the arm on this side, maybe laying down. Something's going on there. You know, you can see it. So I count that not necessarily as a Sasquatch, because I can't tell that it is. I'm just getting the activity.
There's something moving.
There's something moving back there.
Right. And here's the other thing. If there's a Sasquatch walking by, what else in its right mind is going to be moving and giving away its presence if it's not another Sasquatch?
Right, exactly. So all of that is on the table.
I just think it's amazing that, due to the diligence of people like you and Blayne and some of the other people that have just been spending years and years looking at this over and over again, that you're still finding new things in it. And once again, it's making it more and more and more like obvious that, hey, this was real. Let's start taking it seriously, people.
Yeah, and another thing too is that 59 seconds of Sasquatch. You're only going to get, it's kind of cutting you off at the, some of the best stuff. But there's another element of Sasquatchery that people frequently see during a live event, and that's high strangeness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be willing to say that there is some high strangeness in the film, and there is high strangeness in other films as well. So that kind of counts toward authenticity. When I say high strangeness, sometimes it may manifest as like a burst of light. Sometimes it may manifest as an audio, maybe a roar or a wood knock,
Mm-hmm.
that all accompany an event. So, if you have recorded a live event, check your film, check your video. And I've even seen cameras quit spontaneously.
Yep. We talked about that. I've had that happen to me. Blayne's had it happen to him. I know several other researchers that have had that. The one I had on last weekend, Robert Boston, Bigfoot in Germany, they'd screw with his equipment all the time.
I don't know how they do that.
They were different too. He had one group he could go in there. I think he called him Bubba, the Alpha there, and they would just kind of let him wander around, do whatever he wanted. The other one, the Big Red, they would zap him right away. They'd fry his equipment. They'd turn everything off. He couldn't do anything over there.
If you watch closely the Paul Freeman video, as it makes it past that big tree back there, I guess it's a fir tree. You start to see blurring, but the blurring is not necessarily the hand motion. It's a kind of a vibratory thing. It's like,
that's their cloaking thing. Yeah.
And then you can't find the thing anymore. He loses it in the eyepiece, and he says, "Oh Jesus!" Takes the camera down. He's trying to find it with his eyes. Then and then the thing moves its head, then takes off walking. And even with it moving its head, you still can't see the body.
Yeah.
It's a strange type vibration there. I don't take it to be. Some may be hand motion, but you can look at when something is shaking in a more higher frequency.
Exactly. That's how they do their little blurry trick.
It just kind of takes the edge off everything.
That's apparently how they do their little trick between making. If they raise their vibration just a little bit, they get blurry. If they raise it more, they change color to the background. And if they raise it a little bit more, they become completely invisible. And we've gotten pictures of them and actually video of one of these things and all these different phases of them being able to do that. So we've seen plenty of examples of it, and that's all we can come up with. It's got to be their vibrational rate. And here's the other thing that a bunch of the field researchers look for. You take a nice clear picture. Everything is in focus. The whole field of view. Everything's beautiful and in focus. There's one little blob that's blurry for some reason. Guess what's that? Guess what's actually sitting there?
I've got some pictures like that. There'd just be no reason for it.
Yep. There's something sitting there blurring out that little, it's like they're at Google Earth or something, and they're blurring out a little piece of the picture. So you can't see them sitting there. Exactly. That's what's going on. So you actually start looking for those after a while. Hey, everything's nice and clear. What's that blurry spot over there? Back that video up.
So consider those, videos, instructional videos, because there's that, you have something to learn about the seldom seen or unknown effects.
Yes.
If you pay attention.
Yep. Yeah, and that's something, next up on the show here, Blayne, he noticed that years ago from all the field research that he does, that I think he calls it their little tricks. They're doing their little tricks, They're turning your camera off and on. They're making themselves disappear. They're coming up and touching your shoulder. They're right behind you. You can't see them. They're little tricks.
Well, a tricky Sasquatch can give you a heart attack.
Yeah, no kidding. The other thing is they like to do the same thing as the Native Americans used to do, and it makes me wonder if the Native Americans got it from them. But they count coup. And there's some rumors from a couple tribes that the local Sasquatch actually have that as a rite of passage, that they have to count coup on a human that doesn't even ever know they're there during the process in order to become an adult.
Okay, what is count coup? Explain that.
Counting coup used to be something the Plains Indians would do when they were having wars with each other, and they were trying to kill each other. And the bravest guys would go running out with just a little stick and ride up to the enemy and touch him with it and get away, although the enemy are all trying to kill him. That's counting coup.
That's risky business.
Exactly, and they're doing the same thing. They have to sneak up on a human, not let them know that they're there, see him or anything, touch him, and then sneak away without them knowing he was ever there. That's counting coup. I've had that done to me. Richard Soule has had it done to him. And I know there's a couple other people that probably have it happen that haven't really thought about it, and because you're not supposed to know they're there. Richard said, well, it happened to Richard because they were walking around doing a night patrol. The only reason they weren't falling into the woods is because they had walked it during the day, so they knew where the path went. They could barely see anything. And all of a sudden, something went running behind him and in front of the guy that was behind him about 10 feet and would zip and drug its arm across the back of his jacket and made that weird noise as it ran past and just kept going. And they've got it on audio. They're walking along talking, all of a sudden it's thump, thump. He's like, what the hell was that? Something just went behind me. Yeah, something just ran in front of me.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've seen some strange things, and some things that just have an unnatural look. Now, when we were down there in 2019 in Bluff Creek, Don Monroe was off bringing up the rear, and we were headed toward the mountain. We were going to go up the mountain and look for this place that we call the lair, try to relocate it. And I have a GoPro on top of my hat, and it's always looking where I'm looking.
Right.
And I heard Don go, hot damn. And I turned around, and he goes up and over and pile drives his side of his head into the ground.
Oh, God.
And I swear it had every appearance of him being thrown to the ground, like somebody picked you up and threw you to the ground, rather than
like
just
they grabbed your ankles and pulled your feet off.
Right. He goes up and like this, and I have that video to this day, and he hits the ground like twice as hard that way, and his ears looks like like it's been cauliflower or something. It's all shredded, bleeding like a stuck hog, and we ended up not going up to the lair.
And here. And here. And here. And here. And here. And here. And here.
Because of that, and because the other guy, Dennis, had had gotten really violently sick. You know, and I'm there with heart trouble.
He got violently sick. Any particular reason? Bad food or anything? Did you ever find out?
Well, he ate some peaches that he blamed, but Don ate the same peaches, and it didn't bother him at all.
Did Don say anything about having his ankles grabbed, or was this just like out of the blue? All of a sudden, he did a header.
He said he don't even remember it.
Yeah, well, he bonked pretty good.
Yeah.
So, but by the sounds of what the hell,
he saw
and
the
him
video.
doing a header.
He saw the video, and he said to him, he looks like he was thrown to the ground. But there was no Sasquatch visible.
Yeah, maybe your other buddy got zapped too, and that's why he got sick.
He got really violently sick.
Sounds like a zapping to me.
He's since passed away.
Uh-oh, that was really hard zapping. No, it was.
Yeah, well, he had some health issues too, but
okay.
But you know, when we were all in position to accomplish our goal, and then all of a sudden it was a series, bam, 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 bam. We were looking at Sasquatch tracks right there at the bottom of the hill.
Oh my God!
We were getting ready to go.
Yeah, it sounded like somebody wanted you guys to go faster, maybe. Holy crap, man!
Yeah, look, I mean, Don, I've never seen Don quite like that. Afterwards, you'd think he would be like stunned. He went into a tirade of talking that you wouldn't believe. I mean, he sat there right there on a stump or something, or a can or something, and he went through so much history of his. It's like he got stimulated. You know, his brain got stimulated.
So weird. You know, that sounds more like you've been, not like you fumbled and fell down, but like you got assaulted.
Usually you want to go in there and go to sleep if you hurt yourself. You know, you hit the head.
Yeah, but if somebody attacks you, then you got all kinds of adrenaline.
He had it going.
That is so wild.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to get going here, and y'all...
What was it that walked that way along Bluff Creek on an October day that stirred to life a legend of old? Can the story now be told? I knew that Indian, said old Ray. I taught him how to walk that way. Some folks think that it's my wife, but I tell you, it was me that gave it life. Others said it was Jerry G, who quickly said, it wasn't me. But Jerry, don't you walk that way. I tell you, man, there ain't no way. Some say they can see the scenes, bells and whistles and laser beams, zippers, breasts, and vocal sax, with babies hanging off her back. I was in that suit, said Robert H. I did it all in just one take. Bob and Roger were both involved. Now I want my cut, the mystery is solved. Now wait a minute, said the other three. It couldn't be you, 'cause it was me. And there was a mass confession on TV. And the list grew longer of who it might be. And the media thought it all was cute, and they reported they all were in the suit. They fought each other for this scoop. They didn't bother with the truth. Along Bluff Creek, if you go down there, and you listen when there's still air, you may hear a whistle or see a track. It's all the suit you think, but watch your back.
Kind to everyone. Safety first, last, and always. Pay it forward. Don't be mean to people if you don't have to be. Don't flip off the mountain giant. Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't punt the puck, would you? And for God's sake, whatever you do not hug the Wookiee.